this is my role. For those of you all that may not kind of have a full idea of what a CEO is, strategic direction. I have to make sure that I'm taking the company in a direction that is going to lead to success and sustainability. Okay? I have to make the decisions every year to ensure there's the same amount of people in the room or more people in the room. If you look at business metrics as it relates to longevity, majority of businesses have failed at this point. Okay? So it's my job to ensure, okay, we get through a pandemic. Okay, we're dealing with inflationary times. Okay, we're dealing with things in the healthcare ecosystem that we may not like, but ideally trying to make the best decisions with regards to taking in information from you, taking in external information, and make sure that success of the people continues to be present and something you feel like is always ongoing, and that we're ending up in a situation where we're creating things that are more fruitful for everybody. That is what I would consider being a CEO is focused on strategic direction. Then as it relates to overall operations, having a smooth environment. How little friction can you have on a regular basis? How easy can you just show up and be yourself? And you're not having to worry about things that are tedious or cognitively burdensome or that don't make sense or that are not streamlined or that repetitively from a process standpoint lead to invariable results. Major decisions, at the end of the day, I don't usually make the major decisions. As I mentioned with prompt, it was a room, it was a discussion. Every now and then I will try to insert my opinion a little bit more strongly, but I've learned over the years I can't get away with that anymore. At the beginning of the year, beginning of the company, it's a little easier when you only have like 7 people to make a decision for. But now we have too many people. So if you almost think about your leadership team as being like a board, you almost have a board of people that are making decisions for you on a regular basis. If a decision occurred at this point, moving forward, I can assure you that there was a lot of people in the room to make that major decision. Okay? Marketing and sales and brand, founders always have to be thinking about this. Exposure, attraction, awareness. Those are words, and it's not just for clients, but at this stage of the game, it's for staff. We have to have an ecosystem for marketing on the client side, ecosystem for marketing on staff. So those are 2 things that I'm talking about and thinking about regularly. We have to get more eyes on the brand. That is the most sustainable way of doing things. We can't just sit here and go, we're great. Things are going to work itself out. Word of mouth is the best way to do things. Okay? That's dated. It's not defensible. It won't work, and we won't be doing it that way. Okay? That's 1/3 of how we want to do things from an ecosystem standpoint in terms of marketing. At the end of the day, I'm accountable to you, and I'm accountable to our clients. And hopefully you feel like, especially moving forward as well, that we provide more and more objectivity as what that looks like. Okay? Am I doing a good job? Is your leadership doing a good job? Are site directors doing a good job? What do things look like with regards to the service that we're providing? That should become very, very, very clear with each year that you're with us. It's just the journey that I'm on, so I'm trying to hustle less. I've worked very, very hard to work smarter, and I'm trying to work smarter. But this is me. I did a little, it took a little time. This is kind of where I feel like I was at over the course of the year last year. I have strategies in place to be better at the first one. I think from an operations standpoint, like I'm very biased, but again, clerical and behind the scenes team crushed it. You all did a very, very good job as well, and I think some of the shortcomings that we might have had on the clinical side were more related to how you were facilitated and the structure provided around you. Decisions last year, I'll give it a B. Marketing and sales, give it a B, just because we didn't hit some targets on the marketing and sales sides that I wanted to. And I think decision making, for the most part, was good. But as with any year, I'm going to have my shortcomings, or us collectively are going to have our shortcomings. So just KPIs, these things I'm thinking about on a regular basis. Love client-facing for everybody external. KPI, if you haven't looked up Net Promoter Score and how that compares to other industries and other companies, y'all are really good, okay? Like really, really good. And I love that we're still in that world-class designation. The internal NPS, that's just with the feedback that I've gotten So far, as it relates to how likely are you to refer Rehab to Perform to a friend or family member to work at, is 80. It's better than it was last year. I'll take it. Obviously, I want to continue to have it go up. Revenue growth was about 50%. When I think of revenue growth, I think of client served. That's just client served, revenue growth, and at the end of the day, who do you have to serve first? I have to serve the room. If I don't serve you all, we won't serve more people, and that won't turn into revenue growth on the back end. So it's a process, and again, you'll hear me say it later, and we'll probably need to revise the core values on the walls, but it's a team-first company ecosystem. Workplace happiness, all top promoters and passives. Work-life balance, I've only got 2 detractors, and I think I have 60 people that filled it out. And this is never to be dismissive, again, of what anybody is going through, but it's every single year it is new grads. And there's nothing wrong with it. And there's nothing wrong with it, and I've got certain things that I need to do to make sure that we're supporting the newer members to our company ecosystem as best as we can to get them, like I see everybody else's numbers, where I look back last year and I go, who work life was 6 or below? Oh, they're 7 or 8 this year. 2 years ago, who was 6 or below? Oh, they're continually moving up, okay? People are naturally gonna have a lot more things going on after they graduate. Hopefully we can all kind of be in agreement there. There's a lot of things going on, okay? And it's our goal as a company to make sure that that moves its way up. And then we had under 5% attrition on the clinical side. I don't know what the metrics are on the clerical side. We've worked tremendously, especially Jen, to ensure that things get better and better. The career pathways are hopefully something that make it easier for people to be here longer, because that, I think, was a big shortcoming. But when you have career pathways, it makes it easier for people. And then obviously on the clinical side, we have a lot of options for people to kind of move around and do some things that fill up their cup. But I really, really like that. If you take a team of 50 PTs right now, we would have to have more than 5 people leave to change those numbers. Or no, sorry, that's 10%. So more than 2.5. Okay. Areas for improvement, and Adam, sorry, I know I'm cutting over into your time a little bit, but I can move some of my stuff later. Lead the leader. We've done a great job of providing training for entry-level positions, or I should say positions that more people in the company occupy. Staff physical therapist and front desk roles. You have to take care of the foundation. And now we get to start building on top of our foundation as we have really, really good resources for staff PTs in the front desk. I'm excited to talk about what we've got put in place, especially for the site directors throughout the course of the year this year, but we need to create more opportunities for you to have resources you need, you to have people you need, you to have metrics you need if you find yourself in leadership roles or want to be in leadership roles. So between external support from Adam and some of the things that he'll provide us this year, and then stuff that Zach and I were working on for Zach's role to transition a little bit more to spend time with site directors. Very, very much looking forward to that. The focus side, I think I've got a good plan for the year. 2 words that keep coming to mind is cadence and communication. Communication of internal direction and opportunity. That's something we're putting together a PowerPoint in terms of what career pathways look like on the clinical side is on my to-do list. And I know Jen and I have talked, and we're doing similar things on that side. Narrowing and streamlining of efforts, calls, and communication is something that I need to also be better at. So if you see me making certain adjustments to what I did last year, is because last year's doesn't work for this year's. So I'm just trying to find what works best for me as it relates to being available, communication of information, putting myself in a situation where I'm at office, and that's kind of my permission to bother time period. But that is stuff that I think will allow me to improve. Outside factors, this is where I'm going to be honest, some of it's like, you got to understand, some of it's outside of my control, like contractors, like I can't control them. Sometimes they show up when they want to show up, sometimes they show up 2 hours early, sometimes they don't show up, sometimes they cancel, like it's like this, it's all over the place, okay? Like, so just understand, like if a contractor, stuff doesn't work out quite the way you want it to, sometimes it's literally just stuff we can't control, all right? Vendors, sometimes our vendors aren't great. Like, think of a vendor like Cintas. Like, sometimes like Cintas is great, and then sometimes like Cintas not so great, okay? So we're trying to create more and more structure to ensure that this stuff is as regular as possible, but understand that there are some things that we just can't control. This is something you all can control. Number 2, I have some people that I don't know if I've ever heard from on Slack, never responded to an email, ask me questions sometimes that make me think, did you get the company newsletter and watch it or read through it? And don't give me anything as it relates to quarterly feedback loops. I can't help you. If then you decide on an end of the year 360 to finally give some feedback, like, thank you for participating. I would love it if you were more involved. Open your stuff up, read it, give me some feedback, give me some give and take. If I don't have reciprocity from you, it's probably going to be harder for me to fully develop a relationship with you and prioritize you. Okay? Everybody else is doing it. Please do it yourself. Okay? And if you feel called out there, that's okay. Let's move forward. Let's do something different. All right? Withholding information. Please. I don't know. Everybody thinks, right? Everybody's going to go, is Josh busy? Okay, he's busy. Okay? If it is important, bother me and I will frame expectations. If it's something that's time urgent, I will make time. Okay? So that is known. Okay? Don't withhold information. The moment it's a problem, if it's time urgent, Slack me. If it's that urgent, text me and call me. Okay? It's like with prompt last week. I'm available all day. Yeah, I got shit on my schedule, but I'm available. Okay? When I show up to your office, you can bother me whenever I'm at your office. Whenever. Okay? And if I happen to not be, because I'm meeting with somebody, I'll just tell you, hey, 30 minutes from now, hour from now. Okay? But you can bother me more maybe than you think. So don't think he's too busy and then you're going to withhold information that could be beneficial to you and others. Unrealistic expectations and lack of awareness. I think this is something I was talking about with leadership. I might create like a small how healthcare business works thing and training. And I got a couple people nodding over here. Like sometimes, and again, it's just lack of exposure and awareness. Like when you haven't been around what it is that you're doing long enough, you just might not have an idea of how things work. Okay, so providing you with more information as to how things work. Sometimes it's industry agnostic in terms of business, and then sometimes it's healthcare. But trying to just kind of get you in a situation where maybe you understand like what's a real problem, and sometimes like you just kind of have to like go like, hey, this is how it is. I can't do anything about it. There are rules, or there are certain industry standards, or there are certain things that you just have to consider that maybe you haven't considered. Inflation, I'm thinking about this all the time, okay? So that just so you know, that's kind of where my head's at. And this is where we're working on something for new grads, but the person that I thought I was going to bring into the company ecosystem sent me an unrealistic ask. And I couldn't do it. So I didn't do it. Because it wasn't what I thought was somebody coming into the environment and saying, hey, I want to start something up. I want to put a little hustle and sweat. It was somebody saying, I want you to secure everything for me. And I'm not going to work that way with somebody coming out and carving a new program. So that's me being honest. I ideally, and I'm working on it, much like the situation, I'll tag Adam here in a second, he can talk a little bit about it, but we're going to have a guide. It's going to be an asynchronous guide, hopefully that will support you a little bit as it relates to work-life balance and overall life stressors. Here's what I need from you. Hopefully you don't view them as being unrealistic asks. Okay? Ask more and better questions. Okay? Ask more and better questions. Give me deep questions. Don't beat around the bush. Dive in. Okay? But ask more. I'm busy, but I'm not too busy to ideally create a new resource that maybe your question leads me to not having to ask it in and creating better training on the back end. Okay? Be a self-starter, especially with your own personal mastery. Own yourself. Do what you can to be better as a professional and a person. Do what you can to own the work in front of you. If you can't do those things, it's harder and harder and harder to, as we grow, ask for things. Okay? If we look back and we see a lack of growth, or we don't see trajectory, you don't see using the resources, or we don't see you having in-depth conversations with people, and we don't see you navigating our ecosystem with intent and a high amount of effort, it becomes harder for us to think of you with creating additional. Okay? That should be fair. Okay? What you want from us we obviously are going to need some give-take there, okay? And that goes hand in hand with own your work. You walk the walk to earn the right. When people have earned the right in the company ecosystem, they've walked the walk. And I can put them up in front of the room, and it's very defensible. Okay? Make it defensible for you to potentially be provided with opportunity as well. Embodiment of operating principles, I think, super important. Just moving forward, we got to make sure that we hold to that. Feedback, feedback, feedback. I ask for it all the time. You're probably so sick of like filling out quarterly forms and stuff, but I literally look at them. I've already emailed people that have sent things on end of the year reviews. Hey, what's going on? Hey, what did you mean here? Hey, clarification. Hey, how are you? Okay, like that stuff helps you. So please, please make sure that you're doing them. And then the final thing, think bigger. I'll talk about this a lot more later. This will be kind of a common theme throughout the course of the year. Build yourself. Build services and processes here. Lead yourself. That goes back to the personal mastery side of things. Lead others and potentially lead out in the community. Sell yourself on the value that you have created, on your personal journey, on whatever it is that your unique genius is, and then sell R2P. Those are the things that we'll regularly be talking about throughout the course of the year moving forward. Hopefully it'll provide you a little bit more structure with kind of how you are doing things as an individual here. But overall, that leads to dominoes dropping. Okay? The more we do this, the more dominoes drop quicker and quicker and quicker, and hopefully the more dominoes work out in your direction. But thank you all very much. Appreciate it. Okay? And Adam, you want to come up?